Hello, my name is Stephanie Toman and I've done a series of learning videos on basic Excel. So they're going to be quite short. This one's going to start with getting started in Excel. So if you're a beginner, it's the perfect one to begin with to find out what the application looks like, how it works, etc. And it's all by using Microsoft Office 365. But you will become more adaptable because you'll be moving between 2016, which is currently at the University Office 2016. You're using Microsoft Office 365 as a student, and you might have Office 2019 or something else on your own PC or device. So this video is going to be about getting started in basic Excel. Okay, so this is the Excel window, and it's quite different to things if you only use Word, etc., because it's about using data and analysing data or sorting information, using functions and formulas. Lots of different things can be done in Excel. It's a really large package. But if we just get started with the look of the Office 365 window, what we've got here is all your areas on the top there for your quick access toolbar. You can see that on the other versions, the desktop versions. Office 2016 is much clearer, a bit bigger. The file tab's the same. So if you're going to go to the file tab, you'll be doing a new, an open, possibly open existing ones. You could be save as, so you're saving as a particular thing. You can see there that it's got its title bar name that you will see when you change that default book, which comes up as book 1, book 2, book 3. When you actually do a save as on it, save it in a particular location and change the name, that name will appear up there. So the file tab is definitely worth exploring. The ribbon, you've got the minimize ribbon icon down here, and then if you right click on the ribbon, you will be able to take the tick off the collapse ribbon. And you can see those things here. If I just come up here and then I just right click and you take the tick off and the ribbon appears again. And you can see your quick access toolbar that we talked about much clearer there than in the picture. You've got your help, so you've got a search here, and then you've got a little bit more of a help that comes under this area here. But if you're just doing a quick search, that's enough usually to find out what you're looking for. You've got the formula bar, which is really important because what people don't realize is that when you put something in, an equal sign will tell Excel that you're going to do a formula or a function, not just text. So if I was going to add B1 to B2, even though there's nothing in there, you can see up there that is in the formula bar as well as in the cell. So you can go to either to edit and change things, but the formula bar is much clearer. Also, the FX is a great little tool, which is just sitting alongside here. And when we come to do the functions and formula, we will be using that this function here and using it to see how we can try something out. For example, if we bring this up and I put add a range, which we'll learn in a moment. If I click on OK, it comes up with some of the things that go with that. When you click on it, it will tell you exactly what it does. So sum just adds up lots of totals, lots of things getting a total overall. And then you've got sum if, which is getting a little bit more trickier, a bit deeper, etc., etc. There's so many things that you can use. And then you would come into the function, and once again, when clicking in these, it would tell you information about it. So really worth using that as you get more involved with Excel. You've got your sheet name down here, so you'll have more than one sheet and they'll all get along there, and you can add a sheet with that little plus there. You can see I've got my sheets along here too. And then you've got the status bar, which is the area, if I'm just hovering on it at the moment, is the area people don't really talk about. You don't talk about status bars. It usually has sections and things like that on it. And it also then has a taskbar, which is where you find all of your applications, etc., and what they're doing at that moment in time. So look, bits of information, different ways of calling things, but there's always good to use the correct way if you can. And I've just put alongside some facts about Excel worksheets, how large they are and how much work you can actually do within them. before you run out. It's quite a lot. So you can go to that link, have a look for yourself. The next one in this series, for getting started, we've done the window. Now it's a little bit about the worksheets. So we talked about the formula bar, in that if you click something in and you use an equal sign, you're going to be, Excel knows you're going to be putting in a formula or a function. The difference between formula and function is a function's a named thing. So if we go into this drop down up here and the sigma sign and drop that down, these are named functions. And if we use them that way, or we type them in as manually, whichever way we use them, we can find them in the formula tab as well up there. Then whatever way we use them, we can total things up, average things out, count how many cells have got data in them, what's the most popular, well, who's the youngest, etc., etc., and then more functions. So a lot of this is going on in Excel. It's really, really quite a good thing to learn, and an equal sign will tell it that you are going to do a function or a formula. If I clicked in it and just used the drop downs and went to sum, it would actually do it all for me, and then I would have to say which range of cells, which we will see, do I want to add up. So at the moment I haven't got any data in this particular sheet. You can escape to come out of a cell if you've got something going on within it. If you put an equal sign in it and you're going to do some formula, or you're going to use one of the functions, the named functions like sum from the drop down, then you need to escape to come out of it. When you're in that cell doing something, for example, if I just show you now, if you're in that cell and you click somewhere else, you'll get lots of sort of things going on, and you can see up here how it changes. It's taking on, I could have a range there, I could have a cell, but usually it would be a range that you're summing up, and you can see how it's been showing up here on the toolbar. To get rid of it and to get myself out of it, just use the escape key, top left hand corner of your keyboard. That's the best way to stop it from jumping all over the place. So as you may have noticed, it's made up of rows, which are numbers, and columns, which are letters, and that will get clearer as we go along. The active cell is showing where my cursor is. So you can see here, if I click to N3, the 3 lights up, the N lights up a little bit, and there's the name box, the active cell reference box, that's its proper name, and it shows what cell I'm in. And that would be the active cell. So it's active because I'm clicking in it. I might be putting a label in, which is text or characters, or I might be putting a formula or function, or I might be just putting in data. So we're going to be looking around this quite a lot in the next few series. Obviously you've got your normal things like scroll bars, they're always on everything else. And then you've got your sheet names, which we mentioned before, and you can clearly see there how you can insert a new sheet and new information. The final one in this sequence for getting started is looking at creating a workbook. So this is like stuff you can do within a workbook, and also a little bit of editing and that, and easy ways to pick things up. It's very general. So the first thing we're going to do, what is a range? So this range would be B1 to D3. If I went like that, if I stayed where I was, it's going to be B8 to... Okay, so we're going to demonstrate the getting started by having a look around our Excel application, and this is its window. If you can take a look there, notice at the bottom we have 3 sheets, which I'm going to work through in this short video, and it's just getting you familiar with the application and the sorts of things that are available within it. I've just popped a little fact in. You can find out more about Excel and what you think of it, but it's a really quite a powerful application to use for data analysis, extraction, and lots of other things. So let's have a look. We've got the File tab. If we go into the File tab, and if we go into Options, there's lots of things going on in here. This is the Office 365 version, if you didn't notice. And some of the stuff that's in the print shots that I'm showing you is 2016. So that's making it quite adaptable between the two different versions. So here we've got the general. And you'll see things like your username if you're at home and you've got you're the owner, if you like. It'll be in there. If you're using a PC at the university, you probably see something like computer services or digital services. And also when you go into the save area, you've got your default file location. And this is where things will automatically be saved when you click on or if you're using the autosave, which is good in the Office 365, you can just see up here. And that will automatically save it to whichever drive you wish it to go to. In my case, I've got it going to my OneDrive. So there are other things you can look at in here. Just have a general look around. But don't worry about too much, because this is an area that you will get to know in time the more that you use Excel. You've also got your customized ribbon, which could be quite useful. If we look at that, we can change things and we can add new things over into this pane. This is what we see on the main tabs, and then you've got the option of commands not in ribbon. If you've got macros, you can tab macros into a tab, or if you've got it on the index bar at the top, or you could put it into a ribbon. So this is quite a useful thing as well, and that you can use. So that's that area. With regard to saving, just like anything else, you're in Office 365. So if you're saving a copy and you browse to where it is you want to save it, it might be that you want to save it into one of the drives at the university, your local drive it might be, your documents, or your desktop. So whatever it is, that's the sort of thing that you'll be doing. And be aware that the format type that you're using, so you could be saving it as an Excel workbook. You could save it as macro enabled, meaning that you've got some macros in there when you get a little bit more familiar with it. You could save it as an old style formatting that some people still use to a certain extent, not many possibly, but it still is used out there. But the best thing to do if you want to send something to somebody and you're not sure what sort of Excel they're going to be using is to go to the CSV. The CSV is a format that people can open up and work with generally, so that they can bring it into whatever application of spreadsheets that they have. Okay, so there's lots of different things going on in there, just to familiarise yourself with. And you've obviously got things like web page style, and you've got templates as well. Lots of stuff going on in there. So I'll just cancel that. And then back to where we were. You've got your usual new, open, all the ways that it says. If you want a new spreadsheet, you'll get a new blank. You double click on it and it activates for you. You get a book one automatically by default, and then it's up to you to save it as the name that you wish. So back to the one that we were using, and you can also open existing. So if you go to open existing, you can go to things you've had open recently, or you can go to something that you know is in a particular drive in a particular place, and you can browse to it just like we did before. When it comes to home, there's lots of formatting things that we'll be looking at later, but generally spreadsheets, you stick to consistency, so you'll stick to a particular font, you'll decide what that is, what you feel is clear, font size, growing, shrinking, all the other things like bold, italic, underlining. And a good little feature we'll be looking at is the border feature. So you can highlight if you've got a total or something with a double lined under border, double border there at the bottom of the cell. So there's lots of things going on there, and then there's always more borders as well. You've got your alignment here, so you can have things lined up beautifully. We'll have a look at that. Wrapping text, which is a great feature, and these might come out a little bit later on. But you have an idea of what's going across on these things in the layout. It's generally to do with how things are printed, how the page is set up, and you've got these little groups that help you to find where you're going. This one's about scale to fit, which means how it fits on a page. So what you can do is you can hover on these things and you can find what they call tooltips. So if you're really not sure about how to use something, they will help you. If we click on that, it says margins. If I click down on it, I've got set margins, but I've also got a custom margin. So there's lots of things going on in here that you can have a look for. And going across, you've got your functions of formulas, but there'll be functions if they're named, will have those. And then the Data tab has a lot of features that you could use as you get more and more into Excel. Review tab, just like you have in some of the other applications like Word, whereby you can have people that you send things to review because it's their specialism. They come back to you and you accept what they put in there into that worksheet or spreadsheet, and then you accept and you go ahead and allow those changes. And then we've got the view, how we view a spreadsheet or a workbook. You've got your views down here in the bottom right hand corner too. You've got the normal view, which we are in at the moment, and you can see it's up there. And we've got the page layout view, which is really useful to see how things look. If we bring the zoom down, you can see how things are sitting on a page, and they're not always as good as you think when you come to print them out. And we'll be looking at some printing and how you can fix those. So being aware of the different ways of looking at things can actually give you a whole new perspective on it. Okay, so if we come over using the scroll bar all the way over here and take it over there, back to here. One of the areas I'd like to talk about is the formula bar. So you've got this area here, which is, I'm pointing at just there, and I'm looking at the formula bar. So you can either type in here, if you're doing functions, that we'll be doing simple formula actually to be honest, and then you could, I haven't got any data in here, but if I actually type in a cell, the formula will just come out here, be seen in the formula bar. So if you put an equal sign in front of data, it would be a column number, it would be the B, and the number would be the row. So if we were sitting in B1, if we scroll all the way up here, you can see that that is reflecting there. So you've got columns and rows, and this is how they intersect, and we get what you call an active cell. So we'll see an active cell. If I'm clicked on it, that's an active cell. If I'm in the midst of doing something with regard to a formula or function, if I click somewhere else, then it will automatically click on there. So sometimes you have to just tidy things up, bit of an error, delete, and then you can start that again. The next one we're going to look at, worksheet. So if we come over on this one, you can see that active cell there. You can see the formula bar that I've been talking about, the column headings that are in letters, and the rows that are in numbers. Sheet names, which you can change, and the scroll bars that will allow you to move around on your spreadsheet, which you will see here. And then the final bit that we're going to look at is the ranges and getting around a spreadsheet, creating the workbook.